everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Reddit with me. I'm Raquel Williams. In the last video, I read 5 bad romance Reddit stories, and today I'm going to be doing the same thing. Last video had a very whimsical, very quirky Valentine's Day look. Today I'm going to be doing 2 different Valentine's Day looks. One is going to be more classic, and the other one is going to be what some would probably consider emo. So I'm going to take it from day to night, as they used to say in like beauty magazines. But basically, we're going to transition from a classic look to an alt look. Today's stories are all going to be from the subreddit, Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole? I changed my mind about my order at Auntie Anne's, but my husband insisted I still get it, and when I didn't, he argued and stormed off. My husband and I went to the mall to pick up his suit from the tailor. As we were walking, we passed by Auntie Anne's and decided to grab a quick snack. As we approached, I mentioned that I wouldn't mind having some hot dog pretzel bites while he decided on the cinnamon bites. When we reached the cashier to place our order, they informed us that they were out of hot dog pretzel bites and that the next batch would be ready in about 10 minutes. My husband placed his order and asked if I still wanted the hot dog bites. I told him I'd decide after we visited the next store and that he could go ahead with his order. Despite that, he insisted on adding the hot dog bites anyway, arguing that it was just a 10-minute wait. He then told the cashier to include them in the order. I reiterated that I wanted to wait and asked the cashier to remove them. Instead of doing so immediately, she looked to my husband for confirmation. He continued to insist I get them, but I looked him in the eye and firmly said I do not want them anymore. Then I turned to the cashier and repeated, I asked you to please remove them from the order. At that point, she finally did. After we paid, my husband told me I had embarrassed him, called me childish, and berated me before storming off for 30 minutes, leaving me standing there, all because I didn't want to pay for something I wasn't sure I wanted anymore. Okay, I read this story because it has 8,000 upvotes. I didn't read it in advance. I'm wondering, what the fuck is the issue? I'm just a little bit confused on how this is an issue. Like, I can see why it's a little bit annoying for her to be like, oh, like, I'm just gonna look around and like decide later if I want them, but like, that's also her choice. And to be like, oh, husband, like, should I get her these things or not? I don't, it's weird. It's like, I get that, like, okay, if she takes 10 minutes to decide and then decides she wants them, that's another 10 minutes to make them. So, like, you might as well get them started. But it's also not that big of a deal if they start making them and then you don't end up keeping them because then they're ready for the next person. I mean, I guess if it's slow, I don't know. I just really don't see how this is that big of an issue. The top voted comment says, not the asshole, but the cashier looking at your husband was because your husband ordered them and not you. The cashier did nothing wrong, however, you seemed a little focused. Your husband acted like a child getting mad and then storming off. Yeah, I guess that's true. If the guy's like, yeah, I'm going to get these and someone's coming in, like, don't give him those, you're kind of like, what do I do? That makes a little bit more sense, actually. And someone commented under that, God, I hated it when customers would argue and expect me to be the deciding factor. There's literally no winning as a cashier in this scenario. 100%. Like, why are you people wasting my time? And it is a waste of time. It's like, figure out what you want and then come up. Another highly voted comment says, everyone sucks here. He's clearly it for making a huge deal of it and storming off, but it sounds like he was trying to be nice, knew you wanted them since you did until they were delayed, and instead of recognizing his intent to help you, read it as his just dismissing you and were needlessly harsh to him and to the cashier. Obviously, I don't know you at all. Maybe he dismisses you regularly and your reaction is reasonable. It just sounds like everyone here is choosing a bit of misery. I don't agree necessarily. Like, yeah, is she being needlessly difficult? Sure. But like, I don't know, I kind of get it where you're like, I don't really want to wait. Let me see what else is here. It might be my best option. Like, I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I think it's just kind of the situation. And I think the husband being like, no, I'm going to order it. Like, you're going to want it. That's a little needlessly difficult to me. But, you know, I just support women's wrongs. So maybe I'm not the best, most unbiased party here. The ultimate consensus on this one was everyone sucks. I, 26 male, told my mom, 67 female, about a year ago that I could not trust her when it came to any future relationships. My mom and I had been talking about a trip where I had met a woman. My mom then asked if there were any plans for her to visit so she could meet her. I decided to be upfront and told her I wasn't sure if I would introduce anyone to her. When she asked why, I told her due to how she treated my last partner, I did not feel that I could trust her with any future partners. She went to her room in tears. I've gone on many dates since then and never mentioned any of them to my mom. She thinks I haven't dated anyone for the last 4 years. In reality, she is simply the one I don't tell. I do tell my dad and sisters, asking that they do not share with my mom. Now for some context on my mom's behavior in that long-term relationship. I dated Amy, fake name, for 6.5 years. My mom was great in the first year, showing interest in Amy and trying to bond with her. After that first year, Amy was kicked out of her family's house, and my dad let her move into my room without charging us anything. Mom and dad lived separately. Amy lived in my room for about 8 months until she moved out. The whole time, my mom complained about everything Amy did or did not do. At first, she only complained to me, but then moved on to complaining to Amy herself. The complaining became such an issue that Amy and I decided she was better off getting her own place, where I soon joined after. Mom found other things to complain about. She blamed Amy for us moving out and also being the reason we were barely able to afford renting a place. She started making comments about how Amy was gaining weight to our faces. We both were, due to only affording cheap food. Called her a druggie to me when she overheard my sister and Amy talking about weed, and a faker when she got injured in an accident and couldn't work. Eventually, it escalated to the point where, due to my mom's disrespect, I told her to stay away from Amy and I. Here is the worst incident. Amy joined me to help my dad unload some furniture. We were surprised to find my mom also there. At one point, I left Amy with my mom for about 30 seconds to help my dad. When I came back, my mom had an oddly large grin on her face while Amy was silent. After we left, Amy burst into tears. She told me she couldn't tell me what my mom had said to her, as she didn't want to ruin the relationship between my mom and I. Half a decade later, I still do not know what was said. Amy was not perfect, but my mom had crossed the line multiple times. We tried to talk to my mom about respecting Amy and even went no contact with her due to her behavior. Problem is that my mom is in the early stages of dementia. She retains most of her memory, but many of the situations I've mentioned she claims didn't happen. This makes holding her accountable a problem. Am I the asshole? Ooh, this is so rough. OP's mom, obviously the asshole. I really wish that OP had pried a little bit more on what his mom said to Amy, because it sounds like she was like, oh no, I don't want to tell you because it's going to ruin your relationship with your mom. And then he kind of went, okay. Whereas I would have been like, well, I need to know what that is so that I can make that decision if it's going to ruin my relationship, because whether he knows what she said or not, she said it. Like, it's already affecting the relationship that he has with her, or at least like there should be a conversation. But I guess his way of dealing with it is to compartmentalize and to, keep those spheres of his life separate, which I completely understand and think is like a really good move. It sucks that his mom has dementia, because I believe that it's 100% true that she doesn't remember doing these things. I think even a healthy person might sometimes kind of forget bad things, and some people that includes their own actions. You just block it out. Especially this kind of person does not sound very self-reflective, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And then that also puts OP in a terrible position because, he feels guilty, but at the same time, it's a boundary that he has to set. Like, it's unsafe for him to bring people around this person. So, yeah, definitely not the asshole, in my opinion. The top upvoted comment says, narcissists always forget what they did and said it has nothing to do with dementia. Boom. 100% agree. I mean, dementia, I'm sure, adds a layer to it, but yeah, it's a common narcissistic trait to just simply forget the parts of the story that paint you in a bad light. And a sub commenter says they don't forget, they choose to say they don't remember. Someone comments under that saying, nah, many of them truly do forget. They know what they did the moment they did it was wrong, but they can never admit that even to themselves. And I think that that's much more accurate. I think there's sort of a false reality being created in these situations where people truly believe the story that they can cope with, and for a narcissist, that story is going to paint them in a positive light. Like they can't accept that they are the villain in a given story, right? We're all the villain in some stories, but you know, some people more than most. The consensus on this story was not the asshole. All right, guys, here's my classic romantic makeup, a little more heavy handed than I meant to, but you know, that's just me. This is like what I would wear out maybe for a date night. I don't know. Probably go a little more low key on the lips just because if I'm eating food, you know, it's gonna get messed up anyway. All right, time to flip this into an emo look. I already got my side part all the way over. I mean, if we want to go real emo, we got to do like a. There we go. Okay. Well, it's got to be a little more like. If you don't have the right haircut, it's just not going to work. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend not to bother coming over to my house anymore? I, 20 female, love my boyfriend, 20 male. I'm going to refer to him as Keith. I really enjoy seeing Keith and I value quality time. Keith loves going out and hanging out with his friends. I like to be at home. I have friends, and me and the girls get together when we can to drink and vent and watch stupid Tubi movies. Tubi and vent, the next Netflix and chill. As to what transpired today, to put it simply, he was gone again and proved me right in something I didn't want to be right about. Ever since we got together, Keith has been having to split his time between me and his friends. Yesterday, we had our first ever day to ourselves. How long have they been dating? No friends, no hangouts, just a full 24 hours with just each other, enjoying each other's presence. We ordered wings and watched YouTube and cuddled, and it was amazing. However, he still does one thing that seems to cause a major rift in our relationship. He leaves for a small task and comes back hours after the appropriate arrival time for said task. On my birthday, he went to go pick up some food for the both of us from a fast food chain on campus. It shouldn't have taken him more than 1 hour tops. He came back 3 hours later, apologetic about how he had run into a friend and ended up doing many other small errands with them, then finally getting our food and returning. On her birthday. Brother. He's done things similar to this at least 15 times. Today was the straw that broke the camel's back. Today he had a haircut scheduled. He left for the haircut as soon as he woke up and said he would be back around 2 p.m. We had plans to watch the Super Bowl together. Keith seemed sure of the fact that he would be back at my place before 2 p.m. Fast forward to about 3 p.m. and Keith apologized, saying he would be on the way soon. At around 3:50, he texted me saying his cousins, who also attend our university, would be coming over to his apartment to hang out. At this point, I was very angry. I texted him angrily that he didn't have to bother coming back to my place. The Super Bowl started at 5:30. He started calling me and texting me, asking what was wrong. At this point, I was declining his calls because I was on the phone with a friend of mine trying to help her with her last-minute Super Bowl party she's throwing. I texted my boyfriend after the call. I explained that my previous text message had been sent in anger and that I was no longer angry. I'm disappointed but not surprised. He rushed to my house quickly to drop off my keys and some more things before leaving again. Someone will probably wonder why I don't just hang out with him and his cousins, and that's because I want to watch the Super Bowl. He and his family are not football folks. I grew up watching football and wanted to introduce him to this little Kansas City Chiefs hating side of me that is a football maniac. He is aware that something's wrong with me. He had to literally beg for a kiss goodbye when he stopped by to give me my keys. Am I making a big deal out of something that isn't nearly as important? I'm gonna guess no. You're both young, but like, he shouldn't just be avoiding you, it sounds like. I mean, he might be doing something sketchy, but either way, it's not good. Update, we talked. He didn't realize how much this affected me because I wasn't communicating it to him. We are working on solutions, and he apologized profusely for his actions. I would also like to add that this is the only problem in our relationship. We get along well. Also, y'all are miserable. He's not cheating, just has time management issues. And I got communication issues. Problems can be worked out though, and I appreciate the kind words of advice on how to approach this situation to him. The top upvoted comment says, "Not the asshole. His behavior is rude. If you say you're going to be there at a certain time, be there. It's not on you to teach him that his behavior is rude. He wouldn't like it if someone did that to him. He should know better. I'm sure he doesn't know better. Can he make it to work or school on time, or does he go off on a million side quests? If he can make it to work on time, he can keep his social engagements. I know no one is a mind reader, but this is pretty open and shut case. Over 3 hours of stringing you along and making you wait. He literally was late to a time commitment he made, and while being late, blew you off to hang with his cousins. Death needs to be a conversation with him, but you didn't do anything wrong not spelling it out for him. No way he needs to spell it out. I agree. I also think 20-year-olds are stupid, but I remember when I was that age, and this shit would not have flown with me at all. Okay, guys, this is my second look. It's not what I expected. I'm always freestyling here. I used to do this look a lot in high school, the eye look. And I would usually pair it with a bright red lip. So this was a little try something new. I like it. I filmed a conclusion to that last post while taking my makeup off, but had a storage issue, so it got deleted. Yay. But basically the consensus was not the asshole. Others said you need to communicate and work it out, and I just honestly, I agree and I don't agree. I think I was in a similar situation around that age, and I sat the person down and said, listen, if you don't have time to be in a relationship, then I don't need to be in a relationship. I think 20 is an age in which you probably should be single. So if you're going to have a boyfriend, he probably shouldn't be like just ditching you for hours at a time when you're supposed to be hanging out together. So anyway, yeah, definitely not the asshole. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. Happy Valentine's Day, assholes, and I hope to see you next time. You can find me at Raquel's Modern Life Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, as well as get Reddit with me on Instagram. See you next time.